Hey everyone, welcome back to Topher Drives, where this week I've been living with the brand new 2024 Ford Mustang Dark Horse, the all-new S650 generation of Mustang. It's been many years in the works, almost 9 years, and we finally have a new generation of Mustang, and I'm excited to show you all what it's like to drive tonight during one of our last, probably, really nice golden hour sunset days here in October in Michigan. And, well, the Dark Horse is a nice partner to have for an evening like this. Under the hood, we still have a 5-liter naturally aspirated Coyote Gen 4 V8. In the Dark Horse, we make 500 horsepower and 418 pound-feet of torque. Of course, power is sent to the rear wheels and, in a little bit of an unfortunate situation in this car, via a 10-speed automatic transmission. Unfortunately, we don't have the 6-speed manual in this car today, but we'll kind of talk about the pros and cons of that as we go for our drive into the sunset. So this car is finished in blue ember, which is my favorite color on the Dark Horse. I think it looks excellent. It's kind of hard to see right now with the golden hour lighting, but it's almost like a tribute to the Mystic and Mystic Chrome paint jobs of Cobras of years past, of the 96 and then the 04 Cobra, I want to say, were the 2 years for like the color shift colors, but this kind of pays tribute to that. And we have kind of a blue, gold, purple shift going on here with this blue ember paint. Otherwise, the Dark Horse gets a front splitter here. We get some different wheel choices, and we also get some stickers on the hood that say Dark Horse. But if you pay $5,000, Ford will paint those on for you, and you don't have to worry about your stickers failing over time. Otherwise, we got a big spoiler on the back. We've got some Recaro seats. And to be honest with you guys, I've been driving this thing for 2 days, so this will be kind of more of a first impressions video than a full-on review. And we're kind of just going to talk about if this car is livable. This will be kind of a daily driving the Mustang Dark Horse video. So we're going to go from here in Ypsilanti. We're going to hop on the highway. We'll go to downtown Ann Arbor. We'll bounce the noise of this Gen 4 Coyote with active exhaust off some buildings downtown. And maybe we'll go into a parking structure and just see how daily drivable this thing is. The Dark Horse is new for 24. We've never had this trim level before. I think Ford was probably tired of recycling all of their special edition names like Mach 1 and Bullet and Boss 302. So they decided to come up with a new one. And that's what we have here with the Dark Horse. So we'll kind of see how the legacy lives out. We'll get to see it live and see if they continue this on or if they'll bring back some of their heritage names. But I think it's cool that they introduced something new here. And I know the looks of the S650, they were kind of controversial at first, but to be honest with you guys, I don't think this looks a whole lot different than the S550. And to be honest with you, again, it doesn't really drive that differently either. So we'll hop in this thing, we'll go for a drive, but before we do that, let's pop the hood. Our biggest differences with this Dark Horse are really inside the car. They've refreshed this interior and brought it up to the modern ages with this new infotainment, the new steering wheel, and everything else in here. So let's take a look at this Gen 4 Coyote. Again, 500 horsepower, 418 pound-feet of torque, and a really proper active exhaust. Ford always does a pretty good job presenting this engine. We have a nice Dark Horse branded strut tower brace that goes across there, and just a really nice looking, honest engine. And I've been seeing some people have been dynoing these cars and they haven't quite been making what they're claimed to make, but there are these little pieces of the air filters that you can pop off, you can take them out, and people have been gaining like 20 horsepower or something and been able to shave a couple tenths off their quarter-mile time. We have a functional hood scoop here on the Dark Horse, as you can see. You can see some sky through there. But okay, that's enough of a walk around. The hood doesn't really shut very confidence-inspiring like. But, oh yeah, also it has an auto lock feature that I haven't been able to figure out how to turn off. But yeah, so that's what the Dark Horse looks like on the outside. For tires today, we are running some Pirelli Trofeo RS 305 3019 on the front. And on the back, we have a 315 section 30R19. So almost a squared setup, 10 millimeters wider on the back. And these are part of the Dark Horse Performance Pack or Track Pack, something like that. And they are not necessarily suitable for daily use. I mean, obviously you can use them. I've been using them, but they're not great for the rain. So if you plan on driving your car in the rain, I probably wouldn't really opt for these tires. And man, I've gotten this thing dirty in the past 2 days. I've just been kind of driving it normally, but I've also gone through about 3/4 of a tank of fuel. So if you see the low fuel light come on during this, it's because I've been averaging, I think, 12.9 mpg over the last 2 days and I've drained a whole tank of fuel. So, and I've driven like 80 miles. So let's go ahead and start this thing up. We're going to start it with the exhaust in track mode. I've got my little customizable star button down here. Switches me into track exhaust. So let's fire it up. And typical Mustang noise here. I mean, we still have that really low, rumbly, grumbly, loby V8 noise, and I'm glad they've kind of stuck with that noise here for the Mustang. They haven't changed too much as far as that goes. Again, 10-speed automatic in this car. We have this funky electronic parking brake that doubles as a drift brake. We won't be trying that out today because we're not going anywhere where I will be able to try this out, but maybe, if you're lucky, the video on the TOPher channel will feature that. And actually, I'm going to shut this back off because I want to show you guys something that this car has. I know, I've said the walkarounds over like 3 times, but we just got to do one more thing. Okay, so since this is the automatic car, it does have a bit of a party piece. So this car has remote start, which we'll do right now. So you can hear that come to life. But Ford has also done something with this called remote rev. So the sequence on the key is unlock and then lock. And this Mustang Dark Horse will rev itself from the key fob. How Mustang and how American is that? Man, that is just, no one's done that yet, probably for reasons, but you know, Ford has pioneered something silly like remote rev. So there you go. Oh man, this car is just everything you'd expect it to be. And I'm not saying that that's a bad thing, it's just kind of a silly vehicle. So we have this new infotainment. It's one big continuous piece of glass or plastic, whatever, houses our cluster and our infotainment. We're seeing this a lot in cars nowadays, and I think it's integrated pretty well here in the S650. The only thing I don't really like are these climate controls, but that's pretty, I mean, I don't really like it in any car that has climate in the infotainment system. To give Ford credit though, pretty much everything you need is, like, it stays in place, so your temperature controls here. Fan speed, you have to do multiple clicks, as well as your vent location. Okay, I'm struggling to make words today. I think that means I need to get out of this parking lot and just go for a drive. How do I get back home? Click back on that. Okay. We've got wireless Apple CarPlay, but we're just gonna roll with our map today. I've got my Fox body gauges up, and they are lit up green, as that is how the Fox body gauge is lit up on actual Fox body cars. That being 87 to 93 Mustangs had this gauge face, and you can customize that here in the My Mustang menu. In the features, My Mustang, you can switch your ambient lighting and all of that stuff, and then you can do cluster theme, which we have a number of different themes, all of which are just kind of standard. Something's not available, I don't know what that is. Sport, track, calm. It's so funny. Normal, sport, track, calm, Fox body. So you know we're gonna ride with our Fox body gauges on today. And I've also set the ambient lighting to green so it matches our green glowing gauges. Okay, let's take this Mustang Dark Horse out on a drive. We're gonna start with the windows down. I'm gonna put my exhaust in track, and we'll make some noise, and then we'll put the windows up, and we'll kind of evaluate what this car is like to daily drive. It does make quite a good noise, and this active exhaust actually has 4 different modes. We have quiet mode, normal, sport, and track. And to be honest with you, I can't tell a huge difference from normal all the way up to track. Track gets a little bit louder once you're higher up in the revs, but the biggest difference is actually in quiet mode, and it's really the most beneficial for if you're doing a cold start early in the morning. You don't want to wake up your whole neighborhood. You can stick it in quiet mode, because even if you do a cold start in normal, it's still pretty dang loud. In fact, I think it starts the same whether you're in normal or track mode. So quiet mode is nice for being a polite neighbor. Otherwise in here, everything seems pretty well put together, minus the seatbelt squeaking on the leather. I'm sorry you have to listen to that. But otherwise, we don't have any sort of weird creaks or rattles going on in the interior, which is refreshing to see for a Ford. I just got out of the Lincoln Corsair a couple weeks ago, and I did not shoot a video on that car because I don't think Ford ever would have given us another car if I would have spoken the truth about that thing. It was not a good car. Everything inside of it rattles, but not that we're going over any crazy bumps or anything, but the Dark Horse seems to be well put together, and I would hope that that would translate across the Mustang lineup from EcoBoost to Dark Horse. These interiors seem pretty robust, and the materials seem, I mean, even pushing on things, nothing really makes any noise. So that is a plus. Ford seems to have stepped up their build quality a little bit here with the S650. Let's talk about this 10-speed automatic. So when this car showed up, I was a little bit disappointed because I was really hoping to have the proper 6-speed manual transmission. In my opinion, that's what the Dark Horse should come with only. But if you are of the boomer generation, or if you're just someone who does a lot of traffic, you are able to have a 10-speed automatic. And I've got to say, they've improved this 10-speed a little bit for the S650 generation. I would say it's probably 70% better than what you got on the S550. And not saying that it's any faster or slower or anything, but it's a little bit sharper on gear changes and it's smoother. It seems like it knows what it's doing more. And another hot take here, this 10-speed may as well be a CVT. There, I said it. There are times when you're changing gear and this is only dropping a few hundred RPM, not a few thousand, a few hundred. So if you just want to make a lot of noise, you can give this thing like 50% throttle and it'll stay between 3,000 to 5,000 RPM the whole time. It has 10 gears. So, I mean, if you want to make noise, a gear, I mean, it's just, all of the gears are right there. So the 10-speed is nice for if you want to just have it in the power band all the time, you always want to make noise, then this is the transmission for you. And I would understand if you wanted to go with the 10-speed. I just personally wouldn't do it. I think it kind of sucks the soul out of this beautiful Gen 4 Coyote just a little bit. And, well, you know, it is what it is. I think other automatics do a better job of being exciting. This is just not an exciting transmission to me. I'd rather have the ZF 8-speed that Stellantis throws in the Challenger. I mean, that thing snarls and snorts and everything, and it pops off gear changes. This just kind of is a slush box unless you're actually kind of on it. And I don't know, it's just not for me. But I can see the appeal of it, and I get it, but I don't know, I just don't love it. Let's mess with some of our drive modes here. We have a few. Normal, sport, track, drag strip, slippery, and custom. We're gonna go into sport, and we're gonna put our 10-speed into manual. We'll hop on the highway up here. Guys, have you finished typing your comments about scolding me for what I said about this 10-speed? I'm ready. And you're allowed to do that. That's what the comment section is for. Jeez, it really gets you with those downshifts. Denying me some downshifts there. It'll pop off shifts, especially in sport mode, sharpens things up a little bit. And this thing will boogie. I mean, not the most confidence-inspiring steering or chassis. Like I said, it drives pretty close to the way that the S550 did, and there's always this little bit of peril when you're driving a Mustang. You never really know what the rear end is doing. But they've got a pretty safe traction control system here on this car. It seems like they've improved it. It allows you a little bit of slip, but it keeps you in line nicely. Get a couple little burbles on the down rev, but nothing crazy. Pretty straightforward exhaust note. These Dark Horse Mustangs are going to be built in limited quantities, and this is car number 26. So if this car gets sold to the public someday, you'll know which one it is. Gotta make a racket when you have the chance. Okay, let's talk other positive things here about the Dark Horse. I know I joked earlier saying the 10-speed is a boomer transmission and whatever, but I mean that in a good way. I mean, this Dark Horse, while it comes off as a very aggressive and track-focused version of the Mustang GT, it is still certainly dailyable, and in fact, much more dailyable than I had expected. I mean, this is a cozy car, down to these really nice, squishy and soft Recaro seats. I mean, I think my dad could get in this car and drive it every day, and it wouldn't beat him up. Granted, he daily drove a Focus RS for like 6 years, but this is genuinely a comfortable car, and I'm not just saying that because I've said some negative things and I'm trying to redeem myself. I genuinely think that you could daily drive a Dark Horse and you would be just fine. But that's important for a pony car. I mean, you don't want these things to be so razor sharp that they aren't dailyable. The whole sort of like culture that this car launched back in 1964, it's supposed to be like the everyman sports car, and it still kind of holds up to that. But look at this road holding. I mean, still not complaining. Still not complaining. Still not. Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm going to miss my tunnel. No! Okay. Sometimes you just have to be a 12-year-old, and it just is what it is. Okay, let's stop for a sec. There are generally some officers of the law in this area, so we'll try and contain ourselves a little bit. Breathe and listen to the seatbelt squeak on the seat. Ready? Yes, very good. Got my fuel economy average up to 13 mpg. I've done 99 miles and I'm down to a quarter of a tank. So just like Mustangs of years past, this thing still absolutely engulfs fuel. We may have to actually grab some before we get home. A Chevy Cobalt with no exhaust. Ooh, and an Ioniq 5 behind us too. Good rev matches still. And even with the suspension in sport mode, it still soaks up the bumps just fine. Oh, excuse me. Really should shut up while the car is making noise. Just bellows. I mean, this is what American V8s are all about. Echoing noise off of buildings that are a tenth of a mile away. I think sometimes the auto windows don't work properly. You guys just saw that. It did it during my winding road drive too, so I've now gotten it on camera twice. maybe this is a pre-pro car. Car 26. If you're watching this in like 5 years, if it's the year 2028, if you can find car 26 and send it to me, I would be very interested to see where this car ends up. I'm assuming it might be in a big steel industrial hydraulic press thing, and I'm hoping that's not the case, but Ford's been kind of using a lot of their pre-production cars as their press cars because they have such high demand for everything. Broncos, Bronco Sports, Mavericks, Mustangs, that every production car, they'd rather give it to a customer, which makes sense. I mean, because there's huge lines of people. There's people waiting like 2 to 3 years for these cars, so it makes sense that they want to give their production cars to actual customers. But, you know, you've got things like this, I don't know, I think that the seatbelt is actually not in the right place, and it is not the car's fault because there's this little thing right here that the seatbelt should be in, but it comes out, so I don't know. I think I fixed it. Yeah, I fixed it. Or maybe I didn't. I don't know. But, so usually I try to be a little bit more generous with build quality concerns when it comes to these Ford cars. Let's actually take us out of sport mode as a whole, and let's put us back into normal mode. All right. All right. Well, there you go. The Mustang Dark Horse, totally daily drivable. Casual Bentley Continental GT. Nice spec. Welcome to U of M's campus. Get to see lots of stuff like that down here. Okay, so we no longer have a display for our exhaust on here, which is a bit strange. I haven't had the car do that to me yet. I imagine though we are still in track exhaust mode because it's making a right racket still. Just to be extra careful not to run over any college students, as always, or DoorDash cyclists. I love cars like this though because you can kind of just still cruise around at low speeds, listen to your exhaust. That cyclist just ran the stop sign. I'm not going to make a comment regarding cyclists. No, I'm not. The good news is when someone is wanting to cross the street, I can use that as an excuse to do downshifts. And this person has noise canceling headphones. Go right ahead. You're welcome. AMG Benz, all the good stuff. I will say I do wish I had a way to manually shift down here with the shifter. Obviously I appreciate that we have paddle shifters at all, but that's what I like about M cars is you can still shift them with your right hand down on the shifter. Little burble from the exhaust back there. Bumpy section. Okay. Well guys, since I'm down here, I'm going to grab myself a bubble tea and we'll wrap this up here in the parking structure, which means we'll get to properly accentuate this Gen 4 Coyote. God, one thing I will say is the overhangs on this S650 are just massive. So you always have to be extra careful that you're not going to scrape it on something, which is a bit of a worry, honestly. I mean, even for small inclines. And this is still a big car. I mean, don't think that they've made it any smaller, not that you would have, but pretty decent parking garage performance. Not too bad. Yes. There's this weird material on the front of the steering wheel. It's like they had extra material left over from Bronco Sport interior, like on the seats, and they stuck it on the Dark Horse steering wheels. It's like the wetsuit sort of thing. If you've made it this far in the video, you know, you can kind of just be subject to putting up with some of the weird observations. So speaking of the Bronco Sport, there's one right there. And there's an S550. Oh, why don't we park next to this to end our video, and we can kind of compare and contrast some of the differences and similarities here, design-wise anyways. Let's see how far into the spot we are. That's neutral. Go forward just a little bit more. Okay, that's good. Use our electronic parking brake there. And apologies in advance for probably parking like a clot. Is that what they say in the UK? I don't know. Okay, well, there you go. That was our little sunset drive in the S650 Dark Horse Mustang. Yeah, if you want to have a full in-depth review with some hard proper driving, head over to the TheTopher channel. He'll have a nice in-depth review for you over there. But here we go. Our Dark Horse being projected there onto the ground. Oh, and I actually parked decently. I guess I've got some more room to pull up, but here we go. S650, S550. Actually, seeing them side by side, they do actually look a bit more different. You can see in the back just the taillight and rear bumper design. I don't know what all this flashing is for when you walk up to it. I don't know if it's supposed to do that or not. Here's a look at our front ends next to each other. Okay. All right, guys. Well, thank you all so much for watching. That's going to wrap it up here for the Dark Horse. A pretty nice offering here from Ford, and if you don't mind spending just about 70 grand on this thing, prices start at $59,000. Dark Horse Premium starts at about 63. This one as spec is right around 70. So you can have one for under 60-ish, but pretty decent offering. And well, I've had a good couple of days in it. Looking forward to spending the next couple of days. So again, thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care.